mean, I've seen it here in Austin, where you'll see, the law enforcement people with their wife. They're both women, and then they got a string of little kids they took. And I'm just going to be honest about this because the kids come first, okay? And if all that homosexual lobby attacks me, I don't care. Just go right ahead. And it's other groups, the big orphanage groups, and DynCorp is the biggest contractor nationwide running the child grabbing. Now, and I'm not trying to freak this lady out. I just want everybody to know the danger out there. Groups that fight CPS. I personally, have had my kids jump into things. We all know they do. Thank God my son this weekend did it into something that broke, and it didn't hurt him. He jumped into a lamp, and it broke, and was glass all around. But see, I know wealthy people whose daughter falls off a jungle gym and breaks their hand. One case was a boy's thumb. CPS comes and tries to take him, or says, "Well, just go to parenting classes and pay us money and get into probation with them." So the vampires can have entry and kind of run a database of your kids and see, if some Saudi Arabian or something wants your kid. I'm not kidding. These are criminals. And some of them were abused, so they think everybody's an abuser and they're going to punish parents. Their training in school, in college, I've shown the textbook, says the family is evil, needs to be gotten rid of. Others, some of them are actually well-meaning, but that's why CPS has about a 56%. You pull up more than 50% turnover in CPS workers, because the good people get in thinking they're going to help kids. And like, they had CPS workers in New York go public about how they grab kids for medical experiments. So the point is, you can't have an evil government protect kids in these family courts because they're eugenics courts. They're not real courts. If somebody's beating their kid with a baseball bat, that's assault with a deadly weapon. The cops are involved. The neighbors see it. The cops come. You go to jail. But see, now it's moved into a thing of, you're sitting there on the stove, your kid jumps into you, a little bit of thing gets on, there's a little bit of a whatever, and then they come and try to take your kid. But I've seen far worse stuff. You need to know when you go to the doctor. When you go, they're spying on you. And if you just type in groups that fight CPS, there's a lot of great tidbits. I'm going to go to her in a minute. I'm kind of procrastinating because the sound of her crying really is not. I start feeling like crying, getting upset, and also I start having things flash through my mind with these CPS people that isn't good. So I'm just not going to, women and children in distress gets me really going the wrong, I just can't handle it anymore. We're going to take the country back, though. I'll take it back. I'm going to handle it that way. Now, we can do a lot more good getting the word out right now, okay? I'm going to get these people, don't worry. Now, continuing here, you can get familyrights.us, how to fight the CPS. Just type in how to fight the CPS or groups that fight the CPS. You'll get a lot of good groups out there, like Family Rights. There's some Homeschool Defense League people I've had on that have the best info. There's CaliforniaHomeschool.net. They'll usually have it for your state. You're up in Wisconsin, a very wicked Nelly command base up there. Now, I'm going to go to you, ma'am. I'm going to go to you, Ellie. You've got the floor. Don't cry. Just try not to. Tell us about your case, where you are. There's groups that fight this, mainly victims out there. There's lawyers that fight it. They're going to hear you, and you can give out an email or something for folks. Now, tell us what happened. Go ahead.
Okay. So, I'm sorry. So basically what happened was, as soon as she says that, I said to her, I was like, so help me, if you take my child...
So start the whole story. Hold on. Now, listen, you don't want to talk to the vampires before you get a lawyer. You don't want to get one of the local lawyers that'll just suck money out of you and hand the kid over. You're going to have to settle down or they're going to win. The wolves want to get you off in a corner and have their way. And even if you were, quote, an abuser, which you're probably not, they're 5 times more likely to hurt your kids. So... the law of averages, just get rid of the Department of Education, Department of Health and Human Services that has bounties in the health departments. They're all criminal groups set up 100 years ago for eugenics. Start the whole story. Go ahead.
Okay. So, like I said, my son, he got, a scar on his face from, obviously a water burn or whatever. And, I remember my son coming back to me after, school that day, the day after he had that happen, and he tells me that the nurse was asking him a bunch of questions, and I'm like, well, what did you tell her? He was like, well, I told her I just didn't want to talk about it. And I'm like, Josh, you need to not do that. You need to tell them if something happened, even if it wasn't on purpose, if mommy didn't hurt you on purpose, you still have to let them know. And he's like, okay. And then I'm like, so if they ask you...
All right, so the government training camp's got a quota. The teachers send them to the Soviet nurse, the injector lady, the vaccine pusher, the Ritalin pusher, because that's what they do in the schools now. I mean, I was like a school student aide as a senior because I had finished my courses. She called me in and first kind of asked me if I wanted to date her when I got out of high school. She was a middle-aged blonde, and then she asked if I like Ritalin. She said it's like speed. It's a really great drug. And I said, no, I run 6 miles a day, lady. I mean, look at me. And back then I looked like Thor or something. I don't like what I look like today. And so, I mean, certainly. So the school pusher was there. How old's your son?
He's only 6. He just started the first
That's
grade.
not good. The younger, when they're older, you can have parents running chainsaws on them and they don't care. It's the young ones, but he's still not really little, so that's a good thing there. They'll probably just want to get some classes and suck some money out of you. He's not blonde-haired, blue-eyed, is he?
Oh, God. No, like, he's
Well, that's their favorites. Yeah, they got pervs they like. And I'm not trying to scare you. You just need to know that there is a market. Now, ma'am, start over there. So what happened then? So the Nelly creature is a female or a male? The CPS person called you.
And it's a female. The way she was talking to me over the phone, it was really, kind of aggressive or whatever.
No, she was wanting to freak you out. Well, she was wanting to get some psychic blood. So the vampire called. What happened?
So, I told her, if she did anything, like take him out of that school, she was going to regret it. I was going to, sue her or something. So I drove up to the school as fast as I could to get him out of the classroom, and I did. And I freaked out the teacher, and I tried not to get emotional, but I don't know. So I freaked out.
Well, I understand they've broken down the economy, and I don't know if you have much money. I don't know if you're a single mother. But they like to have it where you're isolated and got to put them in a camp. It's the government training camp. Your child will be better with no education than going to a government death camp. Now, where they drink the fluoride and everything else, they have the drills. So you freaked the teacher out. She came in crying. It's normal when you know a predatory group is coming for you. This show is here to reinstill normal instincts in people. But so the teacher, please continue.
I said to her, I was like, I'm not going to keep my kid in here any longer. I'm taking him out. And I'm not going to allow you guys to literally go behind my back and try to kidnap him, via the CPS. And the teacher was like, well, it's not my problem. You should have, I can't even remember what she said.
Yeah, just following orders. Guaranteed she or he is the person that sent him to the drug pusher.
Yeah, and then, as soon as I come out of the classroom with my son, so help me, I look at this, and here is, to the side of me is, the CPS worker. It's this, big bovine woman. She says to me, she tries to she actually grabs for my son, and I pull her away, and I'm like, if you touch my son again, I promise you're going to regret it. Are you the one that I spoke to over the phone? She's like, yeah. And then she was like, will you let me talk? I was like, no. You tried to grab for my son. You lost you lost a chance to talk.
Oh, wait, she did? Hold on. You've confirmed they did try to go snatch him.
Yeah, he literally, I got there seconds before she got there.
Well, listen, if you got, let me tell you, if you got family in another state before they trump up more stuff, you move to the other state and you just withdraw your child out of their system and they'll move on to other kids to kidnap. Do you have family in another state?
I mean, I do, but I can't really leave because right now I'm pregnant and my boyfriend is, forced to stay here.
Yeah, but ma'am, listen, number one, you need to get married. Number one, he needs to move and get 5 jobs if he has to. But I'm not going to sit here and give you advice, actually. You do what you want. I'm telling you what I would do. We're going to skip this break and then just go to the 30 and end this transmission. Listen, ma'am, I want to help you. Tell me where the vampire is now. So she's saying, listen to me.
Well, this is what happened. I got a phone call from my dad, probably 10 minutes before, I got on the phone with you, and he says to me, he's like, well, the police and the CPS lady are here, and I was telling him what happened, because in between, by the way, she called me the B word because
Yeah, well, you should record. Let me stop you. So your children are at your dad's house?
No, he's not anymore. No, I was actually going to go there, but
well, then why were they at his house? Why were they at his house? Why were they at his house?
My address. Oh, because I live there, and my address is still at my dad's.
That's good. See, that's why when you call to get a pizza, they mark down with your name and credit card where you're really at. They use that as their real database of where you're at. So you hadn't ordered a pizza lately, so they obviously didn't have your... So are they coming to get you right now?
This is what he says to me. He was like, well, they need to... my dad tells me, he was like, well, they want to find out how to meet with you because... he was like, because whatever happened, they're trying to figure out about, the scar in his face and whatever. He was like, whatever happened at the school.
When you say scar, has he just got a red whelp on his face?
Huh?
Has he got a red whelp on his face?
No. He just has like it looks like it literally, you could tell it was like a burn from water.
But what does it look like? Is it a scab? What is it?
Like discolored.
Yeah, it's a little red spot. It's like a red spot.
Huh?
It's a red spot.
Yeah, well, it was a red spot. Now it's healed up.
Yeah, well, let's just stop right there. Again, we had neighbors over a few months ago, and they invited a friend over, and my son's got a birthmark. And liberals, so-called liberals are the worst. My son's got a birthmark on the side of his head, and they always walk over and ignore the parent, because, again, they'll also criticize you for having kids. And it was a UT professor. And she said, "Oh, what happened to your face?" And he said, "It's my birthmark." And then she goes, "Is it really?" And she was kind of looking at me. And I went, "Yeah, it's a birthmark." And she's like, "Oh, it's their little power. It's their little goodie. It's their little evil." And they like to walk to my wife in Whole Foods and say, "You got 3 kids." Again, it's all about hatred of America, hatred of families, hatred of decency. They're rotten filth. And, again, it's all about you're bad. And it's this servile, and they love it. The hippies, have been turned to these little Nazis, and they love their bisphenol A and their breast cancer, and they love their evil. They sacrament it. They love being conned. They love families are bad, men are bad, guys with redneck voices are even worse. I'm an unholy demon, you see, because I actually have freedom, and I have guns, and I have strength, and I'm an evil sacrament to the feminist goblin. Okay, and so I understand. So literally, so how did this happen? He bumped into you or something and got a little bit of water on him. I mean, what happened?
Well, I was boiling water for eggs, because I always boil my water first, and I figured I didn't want to do the egg thing, because I started getting sick. So what happened was I got ready to take the water and dump it in the sink. My son comes flying into the living room.
I know, yeah. Now, they get a lot of kids with stove accidents. That's why we don't even let them in the kitchen and keep the stuff on the back burners. Okay, so he bumped into it, no big deal. I would get a hold of a family lawyer, and I would just call the police themselves and say, you're not, I know they were coming to grab my kid, and it's a normal response. I know you have quotas. And say, I've contacted national radio, the Alex Jones Show. I would take photos of it. And I would call a family lawyer, and I would check reviews of it. So are they coming to your house right now?
Well, that's what I was trying to say. My dad gave me the phone number to one of the police officers, and because my dad is kind of weird in this way, he says to me, he was like, "Well, he's a brother, so, as in he's black, so, you don't have to worry about, anything happening over the phone, so just call him so he doesn't send the warrant out on you." And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, it doesn't matter if he's black or white, he's still going to screw me over. He's working for another, he's working for the lower hand. It's
so your dad is black?
Yeah, I'm black, and my dad's black. I mean, my child's biracial.
No, I understand. They really like to get black kids, yeah. No, black government enforcers feed on blacks. It's like it's their black cops kill blacks for no reason all the time. It's like they prove that they're in the system by doing that. Now, this might be a nice guy, too. There's some black cops that understand. There's some cops, period, that understand what's going on and have been around these CPS schools enough. Well, I think you should settle down. Obviously, you're right to come and get your son. I think the fact that you rebuked the teacher, but I understand getting emotional, makes them want to prove something. I don't think it hurts to call the cop and say, "Listen, I just know they were coming to get my son. It was no big deal. He didn't even scar him. I wouldn't even call it a scar. It's a red whelp because he bumped into you." And say, "I don't want to meet with you guys someplace where you grab my son." Say, "I need to get a hold of representation, and then I'll be happy to meet with you guys once I have a lawyer." And just let him know that's fine. And then I would go check into a hotel for a couple days. Just you don't have to worry about the stress, worry about any of it. Tell them your son's out because of emotional distress, of them trying to grab him, and say you're just getting your lawyer. And I would spend a lot of time reading on the websites and reading, the different ways to handle them, and then make a decision.